Hey guys, how's it going? So I got a great song for you today. We're going to do this song called Flower Moon. I heard the song, I think like last summer or something, and I wrote it down as a song I wanted to get to. I heard it again the other day, and I thought, I'm going to sit down and figure out all the changes in that song. It's a beautiful song. If you haven't heard it, go click the link in the description, go listen to it, and come back if you want to learn it. But it's such a great old school R&B song, very soulful, kind of leans towards the jazzy side of like Motown R&B type of stuff. And the guy has a great voice, a great falsetto voice. It just has a really nice groove, kind of a soulful feel to it. But there's not a lot to the song. It's really just a bunch of like major and minor seventh chords and stuff like that. I'm going to play the song a little more aggressively, a little more percussively, and then add in some kind of licks and chords as passing tones to connect the chord changes together. You don't have to do any of that stuff if you don't want to. But let's just go ahead and get into the intro and the verse. Alright, so for the intro part, it's going to be the same as the verse, the same two chords back and forth, but the intro, it has this little lick that he plays after each chord, and then it repeats that at the end of each chorus. But when the singing starts during the verse, he stops playing that, and he just vamps between the same two chords back and forth. So basically we start out, we have F minor 7. We're going to bar from A down on the 8th fret with your index finger. Then have 10 on D, 9 on B, and then have your pinky on the high E string on 11. We're going to add in that extra flat 7, that E flat. Now it sounds like when they play this on the recording, they're leaving out the root. They're just playing from like D down. I like to put in the root. I think it sounds more full. Now I'm being more percussive. I'm doing muted hits in between, so I'm doing like a 16th note. Then a down, up, down triplet. Muting it, and then I'll do an upstroke, and I'll lift my pinky off of 11 on E and just have 8 on E and do that upstroke. Okay, so that'll be your first part. Then we do this little lick. Okay, basically what we're doing is we're going from, like, if you wanted to call these chords out, you would have like a second inversion of an A flat major 7. Then you would have an A flat 5 like power chord, and an A flat major triad. Okay, so the tricky part of this, you gotta mute and do this with an upstroke so you can keep your rhythm going with your right hand. So that little lick, we'll bar 13 on D, G, and B. We'll have 15 on high string with our ring finger. Then with an upstroke, take your pinky, put it down on 16 on B, mute out the high E string, give it an upstroke, and then just give a down hit on D, G, and B on 13. Okay, so then I do muted hits in between to get back to the 1. Okay, so I'm always doing it. Okay, and after you do that last part, we're going to go to E flat major. Just bar 6 from A down, have 8 on D, 7 on G, 8 on B. Okay, and I'll do the same thing. Same rhythm. Okay, then we're going to walk up, and the lick here is going to be this little deal. It's basically, we're going to fret like we would a G minor 7, but we're not playing G minor. We're basically playing like a B flat triad with D on the bottom, and then adding in that extra F. Okay. So have D, or just bar D, G, B, and E with your index finger. Have 12 on D, 11 on B, and 13 on the high E. Then lift your pinky finger off and just pick with an upstroke 10 on the high E, and then pick B with an upstroke on the 11th fret. Okay, so that'll be your little E flat lick. And then a little down up mute. You can slide in back to it if you want. And then what I do, I just add in these triads as like passing chords just to get back to the F minor. All I'm doing is I'm taking this E flat major 7, and I'm playing the second inversion with the 5 on the bottom, just playing that extension. And you just bar D, G, and B on 8, have 10 on the high E, and I'll just make it. And then I'll go to, it's basically, you could call this a G minor if you play it against G, right? But when you play it against an E flat, it becomes major 7. So you could look at it like this, as just an E flat major 7 without the root in the bass, or you could look at it like a G minor triad, however you want to see it, right? But that's all I'm doing, is just, and I'm just going, just doing that.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
All right, so that's that whole thing. If you want to play all those little changes in between, right? Then we go back to the F minor 7. Do the lick again. Okay, and then it just does that twice, right? So then when the verse starts, he just leaves out that part, and he'll just hang on F minor 7 to E flat major 7. And he'll just go back and forth and do that over and over again. And then he won't repeat that little lick. He won't do that again until we wrap up the chorus and go back into the verse part, right? So that's the whole intro and verse with the little licks in between. And then the only other part is the chorus. So let's go ahead and get into the chorus. All right, so as we get out of the verse and into the chorus, there's this little lead in, this little bass line that drops in, right? So we'll be going okay, so when you have that E flat major 7 and you do that last lick, you're going to hit E flat major 7, bar all of 6, 8, 7, 8, D, G, and B. Then go to G minor, have D on 5, bar G, B, and E on 3. And this will lead us in to our 3 chords of the chorus, which are going to be B flat minor 9, E flat 11, A flat major 7. Okay, now in the recording, it sounds like he just strums these one time, and then the vocal melody sings over it. Da, 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 da. Right? But I like to be more percussive and just kind of fill in the space, especially when you're playing alone with the drum beat. It just kind of helps make everything sound fuller and leaves like kind of like less space in between. So I'm going to be more percussive with it, right? And I'll show you some triads and licks we can throw in between to connect the chords. So your B flat minor 9, 6 with your thumb on the low E, mute out the A string, bar D, G, and B on 6 with your index finger, and then have 8 on high E string with your pinky. So that'll be your first chord, your B flat minor 9. Then we take that same shape up a set of strings. Now we're going to mute out the low E. We're going to bar A, D, and G on 6, have 8 with our pinky on the B string. That'll be your E flat 11. Then we're going to go to A flat major 7. Okay, we're going to bar A and D on the 6th fret with our index finger, bar G, B, and E on the 8th fret with your ring finger. Okay, so you have the I'll do that percussiveness in between. And then I'll go up here. I'll do this kind of 16th note, kind of funky thing. All I'm doing is, you could call this a C major or C minor triad, but really it's just an A major 7, A flat major 7. I'm just not playing the root. All depends what your bass note is, right? If I play this against the C, It's going to sound like a C minor, but if I play this against A flat, it's major 7, right? So we just go up to a 13 on D, 12 on B, 13, 12, 13, D, G, and B, and then 11 on the high E string. Okay? And then I'll just do that da 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 16th, and then a scratchy 8th note. Okay, and then just go back. And I'll go back and strum it. Down, down, up. And then another down, up scratch. And then I'll just walk down right out of your E flat major pentatonic. Now I'm going to mute this, I'm going to strum it. I'm going to do it all with up. Excuse me. I'm going to do this all with upstrokes. So we'll have 12 on G, 11 on B. Then go down 2 frets, 10 and 9, G and B. Then go up, down, up. And then just slide off of a D on the 10th fret. Okay. And this will turn it around and get you back to your one chord of the chorus, right? So you have. Okay, so the second time it repeats the same thing, right? But at the end, we're going to walk up an A flat minor 7 to a B flat minor 7 to lead us back in to the verse. Okay, so you have, and then you have second time. Now I'll go up here again. I'll hit this kind of this A flat major 7 up here, and I'll just hit it 2 upstrokes, and then some muted hits. Same thing, hit it twice, 2 muted hits, and then I'm walking up A flat minor 7 to B flat minor 7. So we'll have 6 on the low E, or 4 on the low E with our thumb, mute out A, then bar D, G, B, and E on 4 with your index finger. Walk up 2 frets to the 6th fret, have your thumb on the low E, mute out the A string, bar D, G, B, and E on 6. Okay, then you're back into your, and you're repeating that intro with the licks in between, right? So that'll be your whole chorus. So let's go through that real slow. We'll have back into that part, doing the licks and everything, right? And it just repeats that with the lick on F minor 7 and E flat major 7, and then that's it. And then it just repeats all again, and that's the same thing over and over again. There's no bridge, there's no guitar solo, there's no other changes. That's pretty much it. There's kind of like a breakdown where it's kind of just like bass and drums and the singer doing the oohs and ahs, right? There's other stuff you could do, like there's melodies and stuff. I didn't want to get into all this just because I didn't want this to be like a 45-minute lesson. But I found all the melodies for the vocal melodies and stuff. So like in the chorus, if you wanted to kind of strum these just once, like the record, you could voice lead all these with the vocal melody, right? And do like the... that kind of thing. It's kind of sloppy. So there's all that voice leading stuff, and then for the verse lines you have like all that kind of stuff, you know, and then like how's the verse go? So all that stuff is there if you want to mess with all that. I don't think anybody's gonna really want that stuff because most people don't really play like that, all that kind of stuff. But if you want to, I can make another video for it. But it's pretty much just all E flat major pentatonic stuff that you're working out of, and that's the whole song. So there's really not a lot to it. Like when you break it down, it's really just F minor 7, E flat major 7, and then the G minor walk in. And then just your B flat minor 9, your E flat 11, and your A flat major 7. And then you walk up back into the verse by going A flat minor 7 to a B flat minor 7. So really you just have 7 chords for the whole song. But when we start adding in all the and all that kind of stuff and all the licks, you can kind of make it a little more, you make it groove a little more, and I just do that stuff to have fun, interject my own kind of style into things, and it's great practice, just really ingraining all this like theoretical stuff into your brain, and it makes it more challenging, and it helps fill in space when it's just you and a drum machine, so you're not just hanging out to dry with like... That's cool in a full band situation, that's really what you should do, but when you're trying to fill up the space, much more interesting when you're playing alone or trying to like just back up with just you and a singer. But that's everything, man. It's a great song. Go listen to it if you haven't listened to it already. And that's it. Just practice slow, have fun. I'll see you next time.